A, B, C. A always B, B, C closing. Always be closing.
We're cool. We're all cool here. Never mind.
another another episode of Scared Money Don't Make Money. As always, it's your favorite recruiter's favorite recruiter, your boy Cam. As always, we have.
Your boy Roy, as always.
He's not gonna say that lie where I'm not his favorite recruiter again. You're
the coolest recruiter I know. You're not my favorite recruiter. You're the coolest recruiter I know.
You're full of it. And then we have Randy. I'm gonna let Randy introduce himself here in a second, just because that's obviously he knows himself best, and that's how we rock on the show. As always, click the subscribe button. Go to the podcast. Make sure you download all the time, re-listen, share with your homies, and then we can spread the message, spread the information. So, Randy, if you would please introduce yourself to the people.
Sure. The name is Randy. I guess I can't use my last name. We obviously are being monitored, but no, I'm kidding. I served during the Vietnam era and got out and went into high-tech recruiting internally, and then I got out, became much more of a external recruiter. By the way, all this, if you haven't guessed already, all of this is in Silicon Valley, what have you. And I made a very good living. And I was primarily retained versus an employment agency, which is they get paid on filling the job, and I got paid money up front to go find somebody. And after 30 years of that, I decided that I would become a career coach, which is what I'm doing today, full time, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And there's a lot of challenges out there right now.
Yeah. So you're our first guest that has worked for the most part retained. As you know, most people these days are a lot. They do a lot of contingency. And then for those of you that don't know or you haven't picked up, contingency is when obviously you getting paid is contingent on you filling the job order. And then retained, what Randy was doing is when, like he said, the company brings you in and they actually pay you some of the money up front to help you with the search. And then they sometimes will pay you all the money, but other times, most of the time, as far as I've seen, they'll pay you a portion of it, and then you get the rest of it once you've actually filled the job order. And then, there's other things that can go down the rabbit hole. If you don't fill the job, did you provide good candidates that just didn't like them? Did you not provide any candidates? So obviously those are other situations that are more specific to whatever scenario you might be going through at that moment. So if you wouldn't mind, how did you get into recruiting to begin with?
Sure. Well, the truth be known, in the military, I ran an officers club for 2 years. I was trained to do that. I had profit and loss responsibility at age 22. I really enjoyed that a lot. But I had to hire my staff. I had turnover in staff, and I had to learn how to do that. And I really enjoyed the hiring process. I can't tell you anything more than that. And then when I got out, I actually hired a coaching. I hired a coaching outfit and did a lot of internal work, et cetera. And they thought that I would be. I had all the instincts, would have you, the energy, the smarts, whatever, to do recruiting. And so that's where I went. So in a way, I thank that coaching company for it was expensive at the time. I mean, Lord, but I'm glad. No, I'm grateful.
Money.
Our last guest hired a coach, and that's what he was saying when he was first thinking about spending the money on a coach. Is he's like, when you think about it, it's stupid amount of money.
It is a lot of money. Oh, it can be. I see it as an investment, Cam. But
correct. No, and that's what he did. He went through and that's what he was saying is, his initial thought obviously was, oh my gosh, there's so much money. But same thing as I think Roy and I have told people too is, you'll invest in all these other dumb things every day of the week. Like, why would you not spend money to invest in yourself? And same thing our last guest, Mark, said is it paid off tenfold, what he did to have somebody help him really line up what he was trying to do.
Yeah, somebody who didn't have a life figured out that we spend 90,000 of our adult lives in our whole life working. And like you just said, Cameron, they spend money on, on other things, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, all of that, financial advisors. But what's the biggest investment of your time? It's your job.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you going to pay? In my case, aren't you going to pay attention to that?
Yeah.
It's kind of important to be motivated, to be learning, supporting a family. I can't imagine working at something for 60 years, the whole time saying, I can't wait till I retire because I can do what I really want. I mean, that's sad.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. I like it.
I like it a
You should
lot.
write that down.
Yeah, you know
Roy's
what? Yeah.
Roy's our note taker. So like
Yeah,
as you see,
Okay.
I'm the one that like contacts people and I put all the social media stuff out. Roy's like he's my thinker. He's the thinker in the group.
And with that, so I want to go back to the answer you said. You said you like the hiring process.
I did.
So I actually want to go back on like what about the hiring process did you like? Like what made that enjoyable? Because as recruiters, some people dread it. So what made you enjoy it?
Well, if you're recruiting, you dread hiring, I wouldn't be a recruiter, right? but no, I think I enjoyed meeting new people, and I had a fascination with helping to put, not putting it myself, but putting teams together that work. And it was just something I like to do. And I turned out that I got to be very good at it. But I was highly motivated, and I got that, I won't say thrilled, but I got highly motivated by it, and I looked forward to going to work every day. Now that wasn't true my entire career, but for a while, I had some good luck, but I liked reading people. I like, as opposed to selling a tangible, I was selling an intangible, which is a human being.
Yeah. I like that. And I think that's something we've talked about too, as far as the tangible and intangible. Because obviously, I'm sure we've all been approached by people who sell certain things. They're like, "Man, you would do great if you sold this or sold that." And I'm sure we've all been like, "Yeah, but I have no interest in that." Like it. Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm a good salesman or recruiter, but ultimately, I kind of got to be passionate about what I'm selling to somebody.
Yeah, and with that, because like what you just said, Randy, like me and Cam talk all the time, and what you said is what he has told me numerous of times, verbatim, in so many ways. Like I could never try to go sell real estate, or I could never go sell a car. He like the part of it, like I just like dealing with people, like and just meeting new people. That is fun. I can honestly say that is very exciting because you learn something, even if you don't hire them or put them on the team, but you learn something just from that interaction.
Yeah. Oh, I did my first placement today. Ooh. So, yeah.
Hey, was that one we talked about, Cam? The one we talked about?
Yes, the friend of mine who.
Oh,
yep.
damn.
So, we talked last week. I grilled them for the job requirements, like what do you want, what do you not want, and through somebody else, just like yourself, who I kind of talked to and is helping guide me kind of along the way. Found somebody. What is it? 2 days or yesterday, the dude messaged me back. I sourced him on LinkedIn. Dude hit me back. Did a meeting this morning. Buddy called me after the meeting. Said, "All right, man, send over the contract. Let's hire him."
Outstanding. Congratulations.
Yes. So, but it was fun. But it is a thrill. Like I was telling Adrian earlier, I was like, I feel so good. Like it was, it worked out. But it was cool because, even though, he's a friend of mine, we talked about the requirements, and then I sent him something. He said, I didn't like that. I was like, all right, cool. Then let's backpedal. Now, are we looking for this then? What is the most important? You don't do that with like cars and stuff, but with people, you really can take attributes and skills and things like that. Hey, you may not have this, but you have that, and you can build off of this, and stuff like that. And so I think that's what probably one of the most interesting thing to us about recruiting is.
One of the things I learned early was you can't control people.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Clifford is nothing. Is that because they are an intangible. You know, that they have a free will. Oh my God. Anyway, but anyway, the issue, I think, is how well a recruiter listens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I got interested in when I called someone up and I said, look, I've got this position. Tell me about your own career. What do you want to do next? What makes it, it's not so much, I wasn't interested in, and this was early on, it wasn't so much interested in what they can do. It was more interested in what they want to do. Now, the big exception are people in their 20s. Okay.
Oh yeah, because we're all over the place.
I used to give, well, that's true, because I used to tell, I used to give instructions, I was a guest speaker at Menlo College in the business section. Anyway, and what I was talking about, there really is no wrong move in your 20s. Just don't commit a felony.
I'll agree with that.
Because because that's what it's all about. When I went through in my 20s, I had to do that. I was a business major and I needed to do this, and this is what I did. Or somebody studied accounting, or someone was an engineer. This is what you did. Age 22, 23. That's what you did. It's not true now. Today, try different things out. 90% of learning is experiential. You've got to get out there and try stuff. Yeah. By age 30, it's going to be very important for you to start thinking more about it. So if you're recruiting people in their 20s, it's kind of like what they can do, but what's their expectation about their own personal development? Like what is it they want to learn?
Yeah. No, and I think that's what made Roy and I very successful when it came to recruiting, because those are the questions we answered. As you know, there's different levels of probing and things like that. And so
yes, there is.
Many recruiters, they stop at that, that surface level. Hey, what did you come here for? Oh, I want to go to school. Great. We're going to pay for your school. Let's sign you up right now. But, done. And then, and then the person comes in, they're unhappy, or they may flake out after the allure of the whole thing, goes away.
They do more research and like they find out more things. And like Cam hit it on the head, like it's that surface level. And I think the biggest thing, even now, it's kind of like that quickness to success. Like, oh, I got that one piece of information that I need, but that it takes time to dig to get that beneath surface level of understanding. And
Clifford, I couldn't agree more. And I think people ask me, about networking, what's the best way to get credibility? Is you're talking, even if they might be a stranger, but the person you're talking to says, hey, Clifford really heard me, really understood me, asked good questions about, and helped me get clarity.
Yeah.
Because today, I mean, I think it's the highest compliment you can pay anybody, that you've listened to them. And this isn't about therapy or anything. That like you might have an agenda of trying to fill a job. So what? Who is it that, tell me about the candidate you're talking to. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that level of understanding, I think that's probably the most important part of everything that we do. It's just that having that deep understanding, because it's no different. Honestly, it kind of goes to when you're trying to buy a car or buy a house. Like if you have a realtor who truly understands your needs and what you're looking for in a house, that purchase is a whole lot easier. It's effortless because they took the time to understand exactly what you're looking for.
And you can't, Clifford, in what you said, it takes time. It can take one or two, like in recruiting, it takes 2-3 calls. Oh, I wanted to ask you about, you made job changes in the past. What and were you did they find you, or were you being proactive in your own career? I mean, this is important stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just the background, but it's the motivation.
Yep.
And history can repeat, certainly. But if someone else was always making the decision about the career, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they're putting themselves up for, they're putting their skills up for rent.
Yeah. And you know
like
what? So it kind of makes me think about what you just said earlier too, like the free will part. Like I never really thought about the amount of free will because I know a lot of times we feel like, oh, we always gotta have control. We always gotta have control. But I think we have to understand that part of people got free will and not knowing a person has free will or knowing that or having an understanding that that free will can come out of left field and change the course of the direction. I I didn't even think about that until you just said it, and
Well, there
I
it is.
think like I didn't think about that.
and done.
You know,
So
that I just want to, you didn't ask the question, Cam, but I do like to throw things in here because we just have
of
so much
course,
time. But people always ask me what the toughest part of recruiting was for me. And this was over, as you know, probably decades of recruiting. And that was when somebody was so convinced they would lie to themselves about who they were as a
oh,
person.
yeah, we talked about that.
Have you? I was just
No,
going to say that.
no. We did, yeah, but I would like elaborate.
Okay, well, we did. It's you know, it's how, you know, it's tough. They're so convinced. And one of the ways that, you know, I used to come in the side door and ask questions, you know, to see how consistent they were. Give me, you know, like I'm a behavioral interviewing
hmm
specialist, certified, and I would ask them about examples. You know, give me some stories. You know, and I could tell if they're making it up or not. But that would really tell me that this actually did this, and is there conviction in the voice, and are they focused? And you know, it's so, yeah. And also reference checks. You know, the two kinds of reference checks, one is for facts and the other
hmm
one's for opinions. You know, and
mm,
never lie on, you know, I tell people never say see resume on an application. Never do that, because the resume is a marketing doc. The application at the bottom in little tiny print, it's an affidavit, and that's
yeah,
usually how reference. I'm preaching to the choir here,
yeah,
but opinions should not bounce somebody out of a job. I think if they
mm,
misrepresent themselves over a fact, sure. I got a master's degree. No, you got everything but the dissertation. That, you know, I've heard it all. You know,
yeah,
and just tell the damn truth. However, we are looking at opinions here. That's why
hmm
some companies won't even let you get an opinion, a reference check / an opinion, because that's just what you're getting, an
hmm
opinion. And
yeah,
sometimes when I called a reference on a candidate, it said to me more about them than about my
mm,
candidate, or
mm,
and
Wow.
in particular, and in relationship that they had. Let's face it, the subordinate boss, or the peer relationship wasn't very good. It doesn't make the one guy bad, the other guy good, and vice versa. It
yeah,
didn't work. That's where I start to go in about why it didn't work. What about that relationship didn't work?
yeah. It's true. And I think my mom is dealing with that. Not that she has bad references or anything, but
No.
um, she did an interview recently, and they said, okay, we'll look at your references, and she's like, don't call my references unless you've decided based off our interview that you would like to hire me, and then pending a reference check, obviously, to make sure I didn't do anything like illegal or immoral. Not only does it meet the same thing that you just said, as far as that shouldn't sway the decision necessarily one way or the other, but also, I would say right now there's probably a lot of reference fatigue because everybody's trying to get a job right now. So if you're
Mm.
Sure.
calling references over and over and over, but you're never hiring the person, then eventually people just say, I don't want to be referenced anymore.
Yeah. What I used to do is I'd go back. They felt like I was the CIA as a recruiter when I was doing references. He said, I want all the bosses you ever worked for
Yeah.
and their phone numbers.
hmm
You know, and then I would also, but for client candidates, I'd say when they ask for references, you always say how many and what kind, or what kind
yeah.
and how many.
Yeah.
Former bosses, peers, and subordinates. That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you should be calling them in advance
Yeah.
before they get the call. Sure. But one thing I never liked was what I call the backdoor reference. I didn't like it, Cam. And that, well, what that was, a reference check was being run without telling the candidate. That to me, that's
Oh,
unethical. That's
yeah.
unethical. It's
Mm.
sneaky, and I refuse to do it as a recruiter. I wouldn't do it.
So you're meaning like if somebody applied for a job, you might look at where they used to work and on your own accord contact that place.
Right. And the thing, what I want to do is all you got to do as the recruiter is tell the candidate, I'm going to call this person or this company to check on something. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
If he says, oh my God, no, then where there's smoke, there's fire.
True. Yeah.
Right. So
True.
why don't you want me to call him?
Yeah.
You can get to it a lot sooner. Really get to it a lot sooner than trying to do a sneak attack.
Yeah. So what would you say was probably one of your, I would say, biggest successes and biggest not missteps, but maybe
Oh, sure.
one in your recruiting career, like
Yeah.
what was one of your biggest wins and what's one of the biggest, I would say, fails or losses that you got?
Well, the biggest, I'll start with the negative. The biggest it wasn't, I did fill a job ultimately, but here's what I learned. So a startup company CEO says, I'm looking for a chief financial officer, CFO. I said, okay, great.
Yeah.
And I said, shouldn't we get the board involved? He said, oh, no, I take care of the board. I said, okay. Came up with 5 candidates, took about 45 days. He liked them, I liked them, put in front of the board, and they rejected all of them.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I learned about stakeholders, ladies and gents. I did. I learned I learned all about stakeholders who, but anyway, so that mattered. And so I finally had to go back out and I got a better fit. I got an idea with what we're looking for, but recruiters make their money, external recruiters make their money on filling jobs and turning it over in new projects. That's how you make good money. And I had to go through, it took me like 4 or 5 months ultimately.
Oh,
So
wow.
I learned the hard way. My biggest success was, it's a good thing we never charged by the hour. Because on this one particular, how many hours you spend on that? But it was a job in San Diego. It was with TRW. They're looking for a senior VP type, and because of my own network, et cetera, I got my 1/3 up front. I don't know, whatever it was, and I made a call, and I call and refer me to another guy within 7 days of my getting my first check. And it was the time when there was big demand for people, short supply. So it's a different planet. But I introduced them, and I made sure they got together because this guy lived in San Diego too, because TRW thought that they would have to, move the guy, which makes it a really expensive,
Correct,
ridiculous fee, right? So, and I put them together, and you know what? They had reference checks that the whole thing went together in 2 weeks. And I figured out my hourly was about $800 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that was a fast one. That was a good one.
That's amazing.
That was, in a way that because see, recruiters, you have to be, and I don't know how this is going to come down or how it's going to land with you guys, but you have to be money oriented. You really got to love the money.
Yeah.
But not to the point where you're doing a bad job, as we discussed before, but you want to close things out. You want to keep moving. It's in a way, it's a sales job. I've been on a straight commission since 1972. I haven't had a salary since that time. I've been living by my good looks and my wit. Now it's just my wit.
My luxurious hair.
You're up.
It makes sense because you have to have a reason to keep like you said, keep turning over, keep going, because it comes down to that complacency type deal in a way where if you have salary to where that, okay, I'm good, I can maintain this and this, but if you have to always keep in the back of your mind hey, I gotta eat tomorrow, it kind of gives you that little extra push to keep that turnover going. So that's what I get from it.
Absolutely.
No, you'd be remiss to understand what the motivations behind it all are. I mean, none of us are working for free. Don't get me wrong, passion and doing a great job is great, but at the end of the day, we have priorities.
Well, one of the things we discussed, Cam, I wanted to bring it up in this particular one is I don't think working hard should be rewarded. I think working hard with I think working hard with results should be rewarded. And too many times with candidates over the years and my coaching clients, I really busted my hump for that company, and they didn't appreciate it. And I would come back, what did you accomplish? What were the results?
Yeah.
And sometimes they would completely blow up their accomplishments. And so, wait a minute, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So maybe they were right to let you go. So this whole thing about hard work and compensation, no, I don't buy it.
So so I actually I brought this up on our last show, and to see what the previous person said, and I think a lot of it is probably falls into the same realm, but obviously when you say it straight like that, certain people, like I know he brought up, is sometimes you can't control the results. But I know that's something that you and I talked about too, is like, I think after you said it the first time, you were like, well, as recruiters, we can't, like you said, we can't control people. But as far as the results is concerned, like, are you doing all the things you were supposed to do to get to the end result?
Correct.
You just couldn't control that person and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things we did talk about, I wanted to bring this up as well, is it's always good for anybody who you're recruiting or a recruiter to say, this is what success looks like in 6 months. This is how we're going to measure you for performance.
Yeah.
That 6 month is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people might do it 3 months, fine, depending on the job. But boy, both of you, both the recruiter as well as the candidate, need to know what success looks like.
Correct.
And if you don't know what it looks like, that's dangerous. I'm not so sure the job is fillable unless you're bringing this person in to define that, which is also dangerous, because they could define it. And you find out that, thanks for the help, buddy, but we can't use you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know like that was something that another recruiter I had talked to kind of brought up too, is he said a lot of recruiters are afraid to really dig into the client. Like, why do you need this person? What are they, like you said, what are they trying to do? Are you trying to build this position with this person, or would you like this person to step in and take over what you already have going? And I think, as always, people forget that you don't just probe the candidates. You need to probe the client as well. You need to understand what the job order is for. And
absolutely.
You need to make sure that you yourself, at the end of the day, know that you can fill it. Like you said, is do it. Can I actually meet this requirement?
in a climate like we're in, well, it's coronavirus. It's huge, but I've been through a lot of recessions, and I've always found out that managers have a tendency to overhire. We want this person to be a great manager, a great engineer. We want them to be an influencer, know something about marketing and sales, have some operations background, and they go on and on and on. Yeah. And you're saying, no, because there's maybe 2 people in the country that can do this, and why the hell would they want to work for you?
Yeah.
So before you take a spec on, you really have to know what are the priorities, like the top 5 you want them to do, and they should be able to find success in 6 months, and they're in, then these are the 5 things you want this person to do. Yes, but in a year, forget the year. Let's just talk about the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Because we live in a tactical world now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's, with this job order that I filled, that's the way I went about it too. They said, what are your 3 main things, man? What are the 3 main software development priorities that you have? And he's like, I want them to be able to work in iOS and Android, and they have to have experience in this new platform called Flutter. And I said, all right, cool. And I said, what are the wants? And he said, well, I'd like them to be familiar with this, but if they don't have it, not a deal breaker. And I was like, all right, bet.
I love it. Needs and wants. We talked about that. A need, as human beings, all we need is water and oxygen. That's it. Yeah. Non-negotiable. Needs are non-negotiable.
Correct.
Yeah. But a company only has 2 needs, and that's revenue and productivity. That's it. All the rest of it is wants. So the wrong question for you guys to ever ask a client is the best question to ask them, I'm sorry, is what do you need, not what do you want?
Yeah.
Wrong. Need. What do you need here to be successful?
Yeah.
And that'll help you fill the job, I would think. You know?
Yeah. I mean, 72 hours.
He's just showing Clifford, he's just showing off, man. That's all.
No. He's not showing no like yo. He's showing like he got the gift of gab.
We're building this together.
He got it. He's running with it.
So what, let's talk about your transition then. So at what point, did you, because I think we talked out on the phone too, as I was telling you, is I feel like all really great recruiters eventually make this transition into coaching or mentoring. They either get tired or of the hustle and bustle of every day, or maybe they just realize my attributes could be used more in a coaching manner and best utilized and so forth. So what was kind of your transition?
Well, I started getting tired of it after all that time.
Yeah.
I was almost going through the motions. I was still digging into people and that kind of stuff. But I realized that I was not in a position to really guide them. And I was doing more of, a CEO would call me up and say, we're letting our VP marketing go. Would you talk to him? Sure. It was an outplacement, but we spent an hour with the person, mainly for good business relationships, not for anything else, but I really started to enjoy that. And then I hired a coach again, and they said it was time. And I started to realize that coaches, you really can't help people because people have to do it themselves. People have to execute. People have to, it's all out there. Never pay for any information from a coach or anybody. It's in the execution. It's where do they start with their values and what motivates them and what do they like to do, and et cetera. And we slowly build up their self-esteem if they're employed. But people love focus. The most impressive people I talked to as a recruiter, and I talked to a lot of them, was, hey, this is where I've been, this is where I am now, and this is where I'm going. That's a knockout.
That's what I've been using for the coffee with Cam.
Yeah. They had focus. They knew they were managing their careers. That impressed me in the last couple of years. And that was one of the reasons why I got into coaching, because I realized that I could do a lot more because of my knowledge about how it all works, the hiring process. I have an intake form, and the one question I asked that I pay attention to is your return on investment for the coaching fee. And I pay close attention to that, as I said. And the one question that I'll give them their money back is, I get a job. Because I told them I spent my entire life, my entire career studying hiring and how to build teams and all of that. And there are just too many moving parts in any hire. And the thing used to bug me is when someone would come back and just say, so did you get any feedback on my interview? No. Or they were third banana, I had to reject them. So what did I do wrong? Well, you didn't do anything wrong. It's so amorphous. I keep ethereal almost. It's an art form. It's science and art form, and there are assessments. There's a bunch of it, but at the end of the day, someone gets hired.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I know
the art science.
Yeah.
What, Clifford? I'm sorry.
No, like the art and science. I think that's the one piece that a lot of people really don't understand as well, because I always say when it comes to recruiting, it's about 90% art and 10% science. To me.
All right.
And
fair.
And it's because you have to the art is just dealing with people. And the reason why it can honestly fluctuate between from 90 to 80, and then it's like 2010, because even with the science part, it's those, I think you just said it, the different little variables in the science of it that can
Yeah.
dictate how it goes. Again, just thought about that just now. Because I always said 90-10, but what you just said, it can fluctuate between 90-10 and 80-20.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
We're glad that your evaluation.
I love it. I love it.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
Thank you,
Yep.
Clifford. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Priest. No, thank you, Father Clifford. I appreciate it.
I like. There it is. There it is. I appreciate that.
I'm changing your name. I'm changing your name in my phone. Father
Hold
Clifford's
on.
calling.
No, I mean,
I just figured out how to do that.
see, ultimately, as you guys progress in your own careers, one of the things that we like to us older guys like to talk about is wisdom. You know, you see so much of it and experience so much of it, and both of you are, I will have to tell you, are way ahead of it. You know, in terms of the people part, and and also, you probably don't want to hear this. You can't go to school for this, but you just simply have to do it more. And when you can take a flyer, hey, my gut's telling me this, or my judgment is this. Maybe right now you'd move, but maybe 10 years from now you wouldn't make the same move, just because you're smarter. But it's not academic smarts. It's just, hey, people, but both of you are paying attention to that, which I think is fabulous. But you'll learn more. It just takes, experience. It just got to get out there and do it.
Yeah. And I think, and that's definitely, it's hard. Recruiting is rough. I mean, we've talked about it before too. Roy and I were lucky enough to enjoy it and already kind of have the people skills. We just needed to hone them. With how we came into recruiting, there are a lot of people who get put into it who it isn't their first choice or it isn't something they necessarily wanted to do, but there's a lot of growth that can happen there by being forced to be in those type of activities. And I think that's one thing I've really actually tried to push recently. When I first started recruiting, I'm like, nah, be the best, do your best, whatever. Now, me and Roy were talking the other day, and I've really changed and evaluated how I look at the whole message to begin with. And it's more so, you don't need to be the best, but you need to take something from this opportunity and use it in the future.
It was Teddy Roosevelt. I got a lot of these, you poor guy. Teddy Roosevelt said, comparisons to the joy. Talking about being the best, that might motivate you, but when you start comparing yourself to everybody else, you probably never get there because it's so subjective. Yeah, we can say, hey, he bills more than this guy. He felt. Go ahead, Clifford.
No, you're that subjectivity, because I say it all the time. Like we always want to. You hear it even now when they're trying to compare sports players. Oh, is LeBron better than Jordan? Is he better than Kobe? Like,
right.
That's subjectiveness. Like, stop trying. Like, if I was in those shoes, like, stop trying to compare me to another player and just
exactly
compare me to my standard of how I perform and what I do. Like, why do we have to compare people to others to say if they're
bingo
great or not?
Thank you you just changed it to Father Clifford. You did that. Jesus.
Oh, that's why you said I just figured out
that's a hot one.
He might keep it that for all the rest of the episode.
I probably will.
After all, we compare cars, right? Oh, by the way, Father Clifford,
Yes.
just to tell you that Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. Okay, so I saw him play. So,
just before we move on about talk about not comparing.
I know. I want to see if Father Clifford come back after this.
Oh no! Hey, I never got to see Michael play in person. I got to see LeBron play in person, and just so we're clear,
amazing.
I wasn't like the biggest like LeBron fan, but when I saw him physically play in person, I was just like, okay, I get it. I get it. I legit get it. Like,
all right, man. You got the juice, bro.
You got it. Like I'll be quiet.
So So I know one of the things I wanted you to talk about too, Randy, was, with you being a coach, you had said that you have worked with some veterans
I have, yes, I have.
who are getting out. So let's talk about that, because that's one thing I think we have inadvertently started to really address on our show is
Mhm.
what is the plan when you separate? And if whether you're a recruiter and or not a recruiter, the people we have on the show really bring up good points. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. These are things you should just know, because the job market is way different than what it is for us, right?
No kidding. Whoa.
Yeah. So, if we could kind of talk about that, what are some of the things that you're seeing as far as marketability or struggles or things that people who are in the military now can really do to at least give them more of a fighting chance?
Well, for full disclosure, it was about 3 years ago when I worked with my last.
Okay.
So
That's fine.
it wasn't during COVID, So
Yeah.
but he was referred to me because I was also an officer, So,
Yeah.
but times have changed as well, And so we chatted for a while. We're talking a little about methodology, because there's no right and
Yeah.
wrong way in a way to go about
Correct.
this. The only wrong way is not to listen, But anyway,
Yeah.
so we talked about
That's a good one.
some of his, I have these assessments as a coach. I had these assessments. What are your values? What are you naturally talented at?
Mhm.
And what kind of skills did you acquire in the military? So this guy was a captain, Afghanistan, all that. So we talked about what were the decision-making transferable skills, decision-making, analytical skills, leadership management. So we really focused on that to get away from
Yeah.
the actual experience itself.
Yeah.
And that gave him, again, it helped his self-esteem. It helped him say, yeah, you know what I mean? And the values are important, because every decision we make is based on a value.
Mm.
It's not mom, apple pie, or sex, religion, or politics. My God, it's not about politics. But the idea is that when he feels like he's a whole person, he's got something to contribute.
Mhm.
That's just the first part. The other part is to talk to people who've made the transition,
Mhm.
and how did they do it. And they almost always know someone that got out, maybe not the same time they did, but they were successful, and maybe they had a methodology and they talked to people. What this particular fellow did is he went. It wasn't for an NGO, but it wasn't really a private organization, but it was something. It was not the military either. It was something. I can't remember now. Maybe I can't remember because it was somewhat secret in nature. But the idea was, but he stepped out and telling him, this is what I'm at, and this is what I love to do. And see, that's what sells in any interview, is a person has both feet on the ground. They're talking from their values. This is who I am. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Never got into the combat stuff. Never did. Didn't have to.
Mm.
It wasn't relevant. The key word is always relevancy. Your candidate, the needs. Your candidate, the needs.
Mhm.
In this case, my client, the needs of the organization. That's what he focused on. He got the job.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to oversimplify this, but
No. Yeah.
there was a shift in thinking, certainly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the guy.
Yeah. For sure. And
I don't know if I answered your question or not, but we always go through the assessments. I always want to know what their DNA is, because every decision you make is based on a personal. So whether it's personal, professional, every decision you make is on a value. Everyone.
Mhm.
And why that's important is when you network and create relationship, there's congruency of values,
Yeah.
and that's critical in any
Mhm.
fit. That's critical.
Mm. No.
Because if
Yeah.
you're not speaking through the filters of your values, you're wearing a mask, and it's not going to help.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
and that's, you answered it, and that was something actually I saw. I think I saw yesterday. Someone else had posted about that, is the relevancy. They said, "Hey, sorry to say," and I think it was aimed at veterans, and it was like, "Hey, sorry to say this, but if you can't find a way to make what you've done in the military relevant for the job that you're doing, you're not going to have a fighting chance." And it doesn't mean your
But
specific job necessarily,
well,
like you were saying.
I would disagree with that a little bit, Cam.
Yeah.
It's not about making okay, I go back a ways. It's not about digging foxholes, you know, with an entrenching tool. You know, it's not about, I was in the Army. It wasn't about that.
Yeah.
What it was about was the soft skills.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, if you were, oh boy, it's been a while. If you were in the artillery or whatever, and you did things a certain way, and you put big shells into howitzers, and that's all you did, okay. Maybe working at a Costco or something, I don't know, or working in a warehouse. No, and you know, but the military is much better about rotation and you know, and giving people lots of different experience. So
Yeah.
in large part, I would disagree. The guy should not be trying. The veteran should not be trying to say, "See what I did? I want to do this for you." Yeah, but we don't have a need for that.
No,
But
no,
if you lead with those transferable skills, Cam, that helps.
No, I think that's what I meant was the make
Okay.
the transferable skills relevant to the position that
Yes.
you're going
Thank
to.
you, Cam. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Now I understand.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Sister Cameron, Father Clifford and Sister Cameron.
Not changing my mind.
Sister Cam.
You just made his day. He's gonna tell his wife, yo, look, guess who he called Cam.
Sister Cam. But I think even on the, like, touching on that subject, those transferable skills that even a lot of veterans or military members don't consider are transferable. Like, it's just, we always look at the surface level, like, oh, I was in the medical profession, so I should be able to go get a medical type job, which isn't always the case, because you check blood pressure doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to go get a medical job. It's just the people skills, the communication, leadership. Another big thing I've been learning, like followership, like being able to follow and guide and direct and coach others. We don't understand how valuable those traits are.
Exactly. You know, I've always said, you know, like I have, my son's a millennial, he's 28, but I've always said to the younger people, learn how to be a good follower before you can become a leader.
Yeah.
Learn how to be a good team player. That comes first.
Yeah.
No, and that could take you 2 or 3 years to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things you can, because if I was screening you as an interviewer, I'd say, well, tell me about your team, your ability to be a good team player. And you could have good examples.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. That's like excuse me. That's like what Todd Simmons said. Show me your receipts for the things that you're talking about. Where's your receipts at?
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
So as we near the end of the show, there's 2 main questions we usually like to ask. And so the first one is, if you had, you know, and I'm sure you've already talked about it, but if you had a piece of advice to give a recruiter, a salesperson, you know, what would be kind of the first little piece of advice you use for someone to get started?
Talk to recruiters about what they do. You know, and then one of the great compliments you can also pay somebody is, hey, your opinion matters. I'm looking into the recruiting business to become a recruiter. Do you have any time? Your advice would be helpful. 3 times a year, I get somebody calling me out of the blue saying, hey, I want to become a coach. Do you have any time? Never heard of them. But you know why I talk to them? Because they ask for my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
Yeah. I think I heard.
So yeah, no, that's that. And see, by the way, see if you like these people. If you don't like them, recruiting's probably not for you.
Yep. I think what was it? Oh, it was Shaq. Shaq talks about how he called Magic Johnson to ask him how to be better with his money or something like that. And he asked Magic Johnson, why did you tell me all this stuff? And he said, because you called me. Because the first step was you reached out.
See, that's reach out. Gosh, it's not about, it's so many of us are so good at giving. Okay, I want to give to you. And even to the senior people I talk to today, easy for them to give, really hard for them to receive. to actually do the reach out. It's really hard, vulnerable, weak, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're denying people in their network that privilege, that joy of giving. Why would you do that? Give them a shot at giving to you.
Oh, I like that. Write it down. And then great answer. And so the second question that we always ask is when you hear the phrase "scared money don't make money," what does that mean to you?
Well, I'm sorry, say that one more time. If what?
When you say that, when you hear the phrase "scared money don't make money," what does that mean to you?
I'm scare money? Wait a minute.
Can you hear me?
No. You know, I'm just not.
Oh, scared money don't make money.
Oh, scared money don't make money. You know what? I'm not sure I'm familiar with that phrase, but I can guess. Or why don't you explain it to me? It sounds like I'm afraid to spend money. Is that what? No, help me here. Help me here. It's something new. I want to learn something. Come on, do it.
So that's the name of it. That's the name of the show.
Scared money. Oh,
yeah.
What do I think of this show? Of your show?
No. What do you think the phrase, like when you hear "scared money don't make money"?
Oh,
what instantly comes to your mind? Like,
thank you.
Pops into your mind automatically?
Thank you, Father Clifford. Exactly what I said. Is that some people are afraid to make money. Okay, some people are scared when they have money. And you know, a lot of my friends got hit by the money bus. They're just doing well. They don't have to work anymore. But you know what the number one fear is? Losing it. Day to day, it's obscene how every day they're afraid of losing all that money.
So,
no,
like,
I thought, look, we used to have a saying when I was in recruiting: money's not everything, but it's way ahead of whatever's in second place, right?
No. So like Cam was about to explain it. So, but I want to take the time to explain this one. So what episode are we on, Cam?
22.
22. We have had 20 different answers. 20. So, and that is again, like I get excited when I hear an answer that I have not heard before, especially when it comes from left. Like when you have the money, you're afraid to lose it. Like that's deep. That's deep, Cam. That's a deep one.
He gets excited.
That's a deep one. That's a deep one. That's deep. Damn, I'm done. I ain't got nothing. I'm good.
Father Cliff.
Damn, I just dropped a quarter on the floor, Father. I just dropped a quarter on the floor. I can't find it. Wait a minute. Wait, I'll find it. Wait, I'll find it.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh gosh.
That's funny.
So we appreciate it. So this is the time where we, all of our guests, we allow you, where can people find you at? Obviously, we have talked about the mentorship and coaching services that you provide, but how would someone get a hold of you if they wanted to take advantage of those services?
Sure. Thank you. Randy@randyblock.com is my email. And it's simple, www.randyblock.com is my website. Very easy. And I'm on LinkedIn. That's it.
Man, you got your own website, though?
After his name.
I'll have to get my own website. All right. Well, any parting words, Roy?
No.
Man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, from the show, needs are non-negotiable on both sides. Needs are non-negotiable. Wants can be negotiated in a way, but needs are non-negotiable. And if you are a recruiter and working with a client, focus on the need, but understand their wants.
That's right. Perfect.
Wants, but focus on the needs.
Yep.
Boom. Now, any parting words from you, Randy? Any words from you, Randy?
No, I've already had too many words in the show already.
Oh, okay.
No, I've talked too much.
We're recruiters. We always want to talk.
I know you do.
But we appreciate you. Thank you. You know, I know we only talked maybe a week and a half ago. You were amazing to talk to on the phone, which is why I wanted to have you on the show. So
I
you know,
appreciate it, Cameron. Thank you.
we appreciate you coming on here. And that's it.
Cameron, can I get a link to this sometime?
Hmm?
Can you send me the stuff, the link? I mean, to the show.
Indulge and to learn about ourselves.